On this YouTube channel, I teach about hobbyist or enthusiast level concrete and mortar tips, techniques, tricks, that kind of thing. However, a lot of the more popular videos that I have relate to more of the construction side of concrete. You know, how thick can a concrete slab be, or how to prep for a slab, something like that, have finishing techniques. And so I wanted to address that with this video and provide what I consider to be some very important information. If you're going to take on a big concrete pour, whatever that's a driveway, a foundation, like whatever you're doing, that's a big deal. It's a lot of concrete and you're not really 100% sure about this because you don't do this every day for a living. Let's talk about that for a little bit, and I can probably give you some helpful advice here. So just to address here, who am I? Why should you listen to me about concrete? I do teach at the hobbyist level, but this is because I was a concrete professional in my past life. So I have a lot of experience with concrete applications, both in flat work, but also decorative concrete, tile working, unique things like artificial rock, shotcrete, gunite, a lot of stuff that would give me the ability to foresee some of the things that you might not be thinking about here as you get ready to pour concrete for the first time, let's say. Look, there's a lot you're going to need to know about pouring concrete if you're going to try to take on a concrete project of any appreciable size. But I have at least 7 tips that are going to apply to most of you if you're doing this for the first time. So what's the first tip? Well, let's talk about this. See, whatever you're doing, you probably have some forms together and you're going to fill it with concrete, right? What's the ground like underneath of those forms? Are you pouring right on top of grass? You shouldn't be. Are you pouring on top of gravel, or are you pouring on top of sand? Or what's the situation that you've got going on here? Because if it's any kind of exposed element, gravel, sand, dirt, earth, anything like this, that stuff needs to be soaking wet. Like it actually not pooling water, but it's called SSD, saturated surface dry. These are the conditions that you need to provide directly before you pour your concrete. Now there's exceptions to this. You could have a form or a mold or something that has a bottom on it. You can't fill it with water. That's not what we're talking about here, but driveways, decks, patios, all this kind of stuff, sidewalks, roads, anything where you're going to pour a large expanse of concrete, you've got some side forms and it's open on the bottom. You didn't provide a vapor barrier or 2 layers of polyplastic or anything like that. It's just gravel, ground, grass. You should never pour concrete on grass, but you need to soak that, because if it's dry, as soon as you pour your concrete, first of all, gravity starts to, drag that water down. So the surface is getting dry. The bottom of the concrete's a little more wet than the surface. But if the ground underneath that concrete is bone dry, it just steals all that moisture, soaks it up. And that's a huge problem because your concrete needs that for hydration. Hydration is part of the chemical actuation process that hardens concrete. And if you steal away all the moisture that's supposed to be there, you are not going to be happy with the strength results that you get from the concrete slab that you poured. So you got to soak the place that you're going to pour this concrete. SSD, saturated surface dry conditions, no pooling water, but basically the ground cannot absorb any more water. That's the point at which you pour your concrete. So what else would be a good idea? Well, as a concrete contractor, let me tell you, do yourself a favor. Go and get yourself some 2x4s or some form wood, whatever you're using for your form woods, have some extra of that around. Whatever you're using for steel inside of your, concrete forms, get some extra of that steel. Whatever you're using to tie that steel, like mechanics wire or tie wire, have some extra tie wire and some tie wire pliers around. Be ready for things to go wrong. I cannot understate that, because once the concrete's there, first of all, you're under pressure because concrete is going to set up whether you're ready or not. Second of all, in most of the cases, you're getting charged by the minute for standing time for the concrete truck itself. So everybody's moving. So you don't want to have to be farting around. Where's my hammer? I need to find my hammer. You got to be ready to roll. So have your hammers, have your pliers, have your tie wire, have some extra steel, have some extra form wood around. Be ready to rock and roll once that concrete truck arrives. So what is another tip? Well, I tell you what, have tarps, big ones. If you're pouring thinking, hey, well, there's no rain, scheduled for the day, we should be good, right? man, you're taking such a gamble for what's the cost of a tarp or two versus the cost of the concrete that you're pouring today. Go ahead and get yourself some tarps, and they can do a couple things. They can provide shade, like direct blazing sun on freshly poured concrete. That's not ideal either. You can end up with all sorts of problems where you can have hydration issues or cracking, or you can have some stuff setting up super fast where the other stuff in the shade is totally not ready to be hit yet. So it's save yourself some trouble, set up some shade barriers, or use those tarps to be ready for rain. What if it happens? What if you get rain? I can't tell you how many concrete projects I've been involved in. You're basically done putting the finishing touches on it, and out of nowhere comes this one angry cloud that just rains on you for 10 minutes, and then it's beautiful blue skies after that, and everybody's just crying the blues because, like, I mean, depending on the stage that the concrete's at when that rain comes, you might be able to hustle and rework the finish, whatever. It might be that concrete's ruined. And there's, the only protection you've got against that is kind of just like having your head on a swivel and looking around for like dark skies suddenly, having your finger on the pulse of the weather for the day that you're pouring concrete, and having tarps. Just have some tarps and be ready just in case. Here's a tip. It's my weakest on the list, but it warrants consideration. Have a cooler with some cold water around. Note, I did not say cold beer. Cold beer comes after the concrete's finished. Stay hydrated during the concrete pouring process. A lot of concrete gets poured on a lot of hot, sunny summer days, but the concrete itself actually belts out heat. It generates heat as this, chemical actuation process happens. And as a result, when you're pouring a lot of concrete, you got the sun blazing down, you're standing on something that's generating heat. You're basically in like a convection oven. And you notice it and you'll feel that. So that's one of the things that you should do. If you're going to have a big day pouring concrete, just have a bunch of extra water around so you're not left, because you're not going to have time to like get out and go look around for stuff. You got to have everything you need right there at the edge of the job that you're working on, or it might as well not exist. So get yourself a cooler, get some ice, get some cold water in there. You're probably going to need it. You want another tip? Really useful tip. Might not apply to everybody. For the people it does apply to, this is going to save you so much heartache. Take your phone, go out there, and take a bunch of pictures of the stuff that you're about to pour concrete over. This is especially true if you have any kind of utilities or anything like that passing through this slab, whether it be water or electrical conduits or anything like that. Take a picture of where are those guys. Take pictures of everything, because once the concrete's poured, I mean, you can't see there anymore. And over time, your memory's not going to be the same. Like 5 years later, there's a leak in a plumbing line that runs through that concrete slab. Where exactly did we run that pipe? It would be helpful to have some pictures that you can go back and reference later should any future problems arise. What if there's like a big crack that develops in a particular spot in this concrete that you poured? If it were me, I sure would like to go back and look at some high resolution images of the area that we worked on and see if I can't spot any anomalies. Like, is there a problem with the steel in that area that I'm able to discern by looking at this picture and maybe explain why it is we've experienced some sort of deficiency or failure of the concrete that we're working on? Pictures are just so worth it when it comes to pouring concrete. Go out there, take pictures of everything before you pour. Once you pour, you can't see what was there anymore. Here's another tip that I would want you to know. Basically, no matter what kind of concrete project you have going on, you're going to need to clean up at the end of the day. And there's usually rules about where you can clean up. Like, you can't just stand in the middle of your municipal street, hosing off your trowels and stuff. So get yourself like a big bucket, like, the 45-gallon drums. Cut one of those in half. That's kind of like the perfect size for a clean out barrel for concrete. Fill that half or 2/3 full with water. And that way, at the end of the day, you can get right in there with your trowels and your hands and you can clean up. And then just let that water sit overnight. And what you'll see is in the morning, all of the cement component will have settled out to the bottom, and that'll be 95% crystal clear water in the bucket and 5% sediment at the bottom. Simply siphon off the clean water on top, and then you can just dispose of the sediment at the bottom. That's the best way to deal with cleaning up on a concrete pour day, because it really consolidates the mess. It makes sure that people aren't cleaning out their tools and trowels in a place that they're not supposed to be in, causing damages that you'll have to deal with the next day. I guess one last tip that I'd like to give you, if you're going to have a big concrete pour day, have extra trowels, extra wheelbarrows, extra shovels. The work is hard enough. You can break a brand new wheelbarrow on a concrete pour day. Same goes for a shovel. Same goes for a trowel, to say nothing of those old ones that you've been holding on to forever. Have extra, because what in the heck are you going to do with a bunch of labor standing around ready to go, concrete trucks spinning there in the front, charging you by the minute, and you actually only have one wheelbarrow because the second one broke or has a flat tire or some other thing went wrong? This is not the day to have that problem. Be prepared in an overkill kind of sense. If you don't have two, you don't have any. That's kind of the approach that I take. Like, somebody's like, do you have your trowel? If I say I have my trowel, that's no good, because what if something happens to that? I really need to have two. That's my minimum number. So take the same approach. You don't want to have a problem with shovels, trowels, wheelbarrows, anything like that on a big concrete pour day. So look, there's a lot more you're going to need to know about how to pour concrete and what to do on a big concrete pour day if this isn't something that you do day to day or something that you work with professionally. These are just a handful of small tips that elude a lot of people. Like this is somewhere between like day one stuff that you really should know if you're going to pour concrete, and stuff that, I've been pouring concrete for a while. I never really thought of that. I didn't do those things, or I don't do those things. But if you're going to pour concrete a lot, you want to do those things. Like, that's the approach that I took. I wasn't pouring concrete one time. I was pouring it every day professionally, which means I don't get to roll the dice anymore. I don't get to gamble that everything's going to be okay. I don't get to take safety shortcuts. I don't get to do anything like that, because eventually one day you would lose that roll of the dice. You have to approach it from a different perspective, which is you plan for the worst. You are ready for everything to go wrong, and you are still going to get that concrete where it needs to be, placed and finished properly. That's the mindset of somebody who's paying thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for ready-mix concrete trucks to show up. You got labor and people ready to work. This is all costing you money, and you don't want anything going wrong on a big concrete pour day. If you found this information helpful, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I hope you found it helpful.